Well, hello and welcome back to the New Health Conversation. For all the censors out there, we always are very clear as far as the community guidelines. We do not give people opinions. We don't make claims. Everything that we're substantiating is based on peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. Nothing that we're doing is based on an opinion. We don't give people opinions. We don't make outlandish claims. We're 100% based on being able to give people real medical proof. We even have a free website where people can go to see the information. All of you coming on, you can see it there at the New Health Conversation in blue right above this magazine. It's an incredible magazine story that's going to basically, well, it does. It makes every single diet you've ever been on completely obsolete. But I wanted to just make sure that the censors knew that everything we're going to share comes from 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies that I happen to have right here. And many of those studies are also posted right above the magazine picture. You can see there the New Health Conversation. And also, there's a bigger picture of it. You can see it right here. Read the headline, over 50 proven miracle. So over 50 protein miracle. Now, it's not really based on protein. That's part of what they consumed. But this is a mother-daughter combination where the daughter lost 51 pounds in 90 days. The mom, who's 80 years old, 80, lost 91 pounds in 9 months, and they both kept it off now for a couple of years. So we're going to delve into how in the world did they do it. There's a big article inside the magazine about this. And if you know much about Women's World, it's the #1 women's magazine in the world, rightfully so, for more than, I think, 80 years or something like that. To be on the cover, you're not getting on there if you have something that's not been vetted. It was vetted, the #1 considered weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world. He's the one, he and his team invented this. So it was well medically documented before there was any chance at all that they would do a feature story, including the cover of the magazine. So all of you, so Abba and let's see, Daily Truth and Denise and Thrifty Misty and KC and User 548 and Wall Street and yeah, we're getting a few taps already. Just tap on that screen if you like the content. We're just barely getting started. Again, look at what happened. So Cynde's 57 years old. She's a nurse. She lost 51 pounds in 90 days. You can read it there. Linda, 80 years old, lost 91 pounds in 9 months. Now, right below that, you can see the New Health Conversation. That's a free medical website where if you go there, we will not contact you. All the censors need to know that. We don't contact people. We don't do that. There's nothing on that site to sell. We have nothing to sell. But if you do, any of you decide, once you've looked at the medical proof, that you want to, you can get a free coach the whole time. It's free. There's no gimmicks. There's no tricks. It's right. So let's keep tapping on that screen. We already got 200, almost 300 likes already, and it's only been like 3 minutes. That's really pretty good. So people must be enjoying the content. Now let's go a little bit deeper. So what I want to show you next, I'm going to show you some of the people that were in the medical studies. These two women were not in the studies, but they did what they did in the studies, okay? So let's first start with Kristen here. Look at that, everybody. 21 pounds, 38.75 inches in 30 days. I'd love for any of you to put in the chat for me if you wanted to lose 20 pounds. Be honest. How long would you actually give yourself? Pick any diet you want. Pick any trainer you want. Pick any gym you want. Pick anything ever. I love audience participation. This is live. This isn't pre-recorded. That's why I love audience participation. What is the site, please? Okay, let me come back for all of you. Can you see the site right there above the article, Curious Ann? The New Health Conversation. Curious Ann, 3 months, 20 pounds in 6 months. Oh, you're all wonderful. Thank you so much for putting that information in there. So did you see Curious Ann? And I'm going to go over it. Listen, everybody, I'm going to explain to you exactly what this is. It is not a diet. It's not about counting calories. It's not about exercise. I'm telling you, it's going to make this Women's World, like I said, is the #1 women's magazine in the entire world. It should give you great confidence. If it's on the cover, it's not an ad. They did a story on these two women, the mom and daughter. And you can read it. You can read it right there that Cynde, can you read that? Can you all read that? Cynde, she actually lost 50, well, sorry, it's on the screen. She lost 57, at 57, she lost 51 pounds in 90 days. Linda lost 91 pounds in 9 months at 80 years of age. But this is for real, everybody. This is not some gimmick, some game, some advertising scheme. This is really, really important to all of you. So let's talk now about what did they do? How did it come about? So I'm going to now show you real quickly some of the other people that were in the medical studies, and it will probably stun you, okay? So Kristen, that's 5 pounds a week. She only had 35 pounds to lose. She lost 21 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days. And again, look at from her waist up. Look at how much she slimmed. We'll explain that to you in a minute. Why did that occur? Now, Julie, here's another woman. This is even more incredible. 35 pounds in 37 days. Look at the change in her body for all of you. Curious Ann, I'm 60, need help, please. I used to live this. I assume you're going to say love. I know you put live. You meant Ann. Curious Ann, you meant love this magazine, right? So would you agree, Curious Ann, if it's on the cover of Women's Day, that it's completely legitimate? So I shouldn't have to explain it. I shouldn't have to explain to people why this is so significant. And then, Curious Ann, it's backed up right here by 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies published in some of the biggest medical journals in the world, including one published about 8 months ago in Nature Communications, which is the #1 medical journal in the entire world. So this is huge for all of you, right? Now, the next picture I want to show you is the daughter of a friend of mine. Now, you will think it's a different woman. Wait till you see this. How about 60 pounds in 3 months? 60. Well, you saw Cynde, she lost 50 pounds in 3 months, but this young woman, 60 pounds in 3 months, but a drastic change, right? Yeah, love. Yes, love, agree. But seriously, Curious Ann, what do you think about that picture? Look at her face. Look at her arms. Look at her midsection. Have any of you ever seen anything like that? Let's keep tapping on the screen. We're at 585. Come on, we can get to 1,000 in no time. Come on, everybody. Let's tap on this screen. Is that amazing? Now I'm going to show all of you, the reason I'm going to show you this next picture, not because it's a man, but because of his medical change in 30 days is nothing short of miraculous. His name's Curtis. 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. You'd think, oh my God, that's the story. That's not the story. Look at his lab work, everybody. Look at his A1C. It went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides from 242 to 124 in 30 days. This has never been seen before, never. So now let's go back and let's take a look at what did they actually do. First of all, who invented this? Because there's no products. This is what's so great about this. What these researchers, after 40 years of research, 100 studies, thousands of people, looked at almost every diet out there and they came to one conclusion, or two. One, everybody lost weight no matter what the name of the diet was. Heck, you could lose weight on the Dunkin' Donut diet. I'm not kidding you. But, and the but is the key, but 2/3 of the people gained back more weight than they lost. After 40 years of research, we got to do something different. So here's why diets fail. Here's why calorie counting is so ridiculous. The only thing your body cares about, because it doesn't even know what a calorie is. It doesn't. I'd love for anybody to put in the chat, tell me the definition of a calorie. I mean, I'll be shocked if any of you understand what a calorie even is, but that's neither here nor there. I didn't know what it was 23 years ago, and I'm a nutritional researcher. I wrote 4 best-selling books and 20 shows on PBS and did 1,500 live lectures around the world, so don't feel bad if you don't know what a calorie is. So the researchers did this. They said the only way here's how the body works. You have a minimum amount of nutrition that you need in order to run all our organs, starting with the brain. The brain, the heart, the kidney, the liver, they don't run on calories. They run on nutrition. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope so. Put a yes in there if you think that this makes sense. So what did the researchers say they needed to do if they were going to have something that was sustainable, rapid, safe weight loss? They had to figure out, can we give her, in this case, her name's Kristen, less food, but increase nutrition? That was the whole theory. Here's how they did it. They developed a grocery list that they picked, these top weight loss nutritionists in the world, proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits that represent not calorie counting, but serving sizes. But only 30% of what she consumed or what you would buy at the grocery store comes from your grocery store. The other 70%, here was the key to it, comes from other researchers. Not these researchers, because they don't have a company, they don't sell anything, we don't sell anything to you. But those are the researchers that spent over 20 years going around the world to places like Russia and Mongolia and Tibet and South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but smaller quantities of food. So what was their first goal? Can we give you less food, in this case, Kristen, but can we increase nutrition? It was a theory. Would it work? Well, here's what they did. Those would be the ingredients, like if you're cooking, right? But then they created a new recipe. So 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. You heard me. Starting with these exotic foods from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand. Breakfast. Lunch from the grocery store list that you would get. Dinner from the grocery store list that you would get. And a 4th meal after dinner, only these exotic foods. So there's no messing around here. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do 2 meals or I'm going to skip a meal. No, no, no. This is what they did. They were very, very specific. And that program of having 4 meals a day with the exotic foods in the morning, a lunch and a dinner, regular food from the grocery store, and exotic foods at night was called protein pacing. Then 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent, listen to me carefully, intermittent nutritional fasting, not water fasting, not this ridiculous time restricted eating, which is a bunch of nonsense. And there are the results. Look at the results, everybody. Bubba, you were on here yesterday. I think you were anyway. Yeah, exactly. It's not really a unit of energy. Okay, just let me clarify to make it clear. A calorie is the amount of heat it takes, Bubba, to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. So you were very, very close. So you get an A minus, okay? But that's really good. Most people have no clue at what it is whatsoever, right? So anyway, let's review. What did she do? Each week until she got to her goal. By the way, she lost that with the 21 pounds. She wanted to lose about 30 or 35 pounds. So I believe in 7 weeks, she ended up losing like 30 pounds or more. But in other words, each week, 5 days a week, she was having 4 meals a day. 2 days a week, she was having 8 meals a day. So these foods from around the world, they were given to her. She was eating every hour and a half to 2 hours. Look at some of the results from the medical studies, which I have here. People's hunger went down 41% in a month. Cravings all but disappeared. And let me read some of the other things that they found in the studies. Number 1, fat went down 11%. Muscle mass increased 6 to 9%. Blood sugar went down 6.2%. Insulin went down 41%. Cholesterol 15% down. LDL down 13%. Triglycerides down 24%. This is in 30 days. And here was the big one that no one's ever seen before. Inflammation, which is the underlying cause of every disease out there according to the medical world, it went down 25% in 30 days. So the stiffness and those aches and pains you have as you get older, pretty much, if you can lower inflammation, you're going to have a much more comfortable life. You're going to be much more comfortable in your body. No diet has ever produced anything even remotely close to this. And again, look at the results, everybody. Now, again, if you want to know for sure, the medical proof is, see that right above the article, the New Health Conversation. It's a free medical website to go to, free. There's nothing to buy there. We will not contact you. And right above, you can see free coaching. It's free coaching the whole time. We got coached. And because only 50% of this is what you're going to eat. But the other 50% is a totally new way of eating. It's not just, it's based on serving sizes, not on calories, but it's when you're eating, what you're eating, how you're eating, and what sequence. When you have protein, when you have carbohydrate, it's all laid out. That's what these researchers created, not me. I had nothing to do with creating this, but I'm a beneficiary. Heck, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. But it took all this time before we had medical proof, which we now have 10. There's nobody else on social media with peer-reviewed human trial studies. Sorry to tell you that. And then to be on the cover of the #1 women's magazine in the world, it's not up for debate if this is some kind of scam or whatever. You don't get, I mean, come on. This is not an advertisement. This is the magazine reaching out, and they said, over 50 protein miracle. That's what the magazine's calling it. That's not the researchers saying that. I mean, look at the daughter. She's 57 years old. She lost 50 pounds in 90 days. The mom, She lost 91 pounds in 9 months at 80 years of age. And 9 months ago, she couldn't climb a flight of stairs. Now she's playing pickleball 3 times a week, swimming 3 times a week, and walking 4 or 5 miles a day. That should get your attention. But again, I can't get a bigger endorsement than that. So it's number one, the medical backs up all the medical stuff, but proves it's safe. I know it's hard for you to believe that you can be in a position where you can lose 5 pounds a week. Most of you are if you're going to lose a pound a week, you're all excited. You're jumping on the scale on and off every single day. And then when you look at someone like Curtis, that's 10 pounds a week, 52.5 inches. And look at his lab work. Look at his A1C from 8.4 to 6.4. But his triglycerides from 242 to 124 in 30 days. None of you have anything that even approaches this. And I know you're all counting calories. You're doing paleo. You're doing keto. You're doing time-restricted eating. You're doing fasting. You do lose weight for your blood type. None of them work long-term. Now, I don't want you to believe me. But let's look at a huge study just published from Medicare. They're trying to bring their costs down. Listen to this study. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. That's the name of the study. They went on to say, diets are not the answer. This is Medicare telling you this. Can you believe that? Here's what they went on to say. The Medicare researchers reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calories in, calories out restrictive diets to assess whether these diets are an effective treatment for obesity. The studies showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any of these diets. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. What are you all doing? What diets are you on? What are we doing? Medicare's saying diets are not the answer. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Why are you counting calories? When my good friend here put the number one magazine for women in the world, no, Janie, actually it's true. Okay, it's 5 million circulation between online and off. So you're not. No, don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, go look up the statistics. Why would that, again, you're saying that the magazine doesn't have credibility? Is that what you're trying to say? Because it does have credibility. It's been around for 80 years. Go look at the rankings. Go look, it's the number one magazine, period. End of the story. It has way more readers than people. So you can question whatever you want to question. Because people want to come on here and they want to question things. We only deal in facts. No, there's nobody else on social media with 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Forget it. It doesn't even come. It's a joke. They don't have it. And we're showing you pictures like you've never seen before. Curious Ann, what do you think about that? Or Janie, what do you think about 20 pounds in a month, 38 inches? Think we're lying? Think we photoshopped it? Think we made it up? We didn't. Okay? Let's see. Who else wants to? Okay, Bubba. Rather than thinking about exotic foods like kale and spinach and things like that, you really need, what they really did, they found nutrients that were in foods. Things like trace ionic minerals. You need 70 trace ionic minerals, and in the best organic you can find in this country, you get 20 out of 70. They found food sources which had all 70. So rather than a food per se like broccoli or spinach or anything like that, it was more based on nutrients. Many of them, and they physically went to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand to get these nutrients or these foods that had these nutrients. So it wasn't just like, because 30% of what you would consume, you get a grocery list that they put together of proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. That's true. Those are more like, let's say, chewable. Most of this was, and that's how the natives drink most of their food, or they make it as a tea. So it's the same kind of thing here. But there's also things in here like naturally occurring vitamins. In some of the foods they used, 21 naturally occurring vitamins. I mean, most of the vitamins you're taking today have been made in a lab. They're synthetic. It's not the same thing. How about 6 grams of prebiotic fiber? Now, you've all heard of probiotics. Those are great, but prebiotics way better because it makes good gut flora. Now, instead of me just making a claim, let's go to this major study in Nature Communications that they did on this protocol. Had nothing to do with the weight loss. Title was Gut Microbiome Remodeling and Metabolic Profile Improves Drastically in Response to Protein Pacing and Intermittent Nutritional Fasting. What they found with this protocol, people's the good gut flora increased massively just excuse me, just in 30 days. This is not a diet. If any of you try to put this in a category like a diet, okay, it's not. It's not about counting calories. It's totally different. And the bigger issue for all of you is you all, including me, have this medical syndrome. It's called TDOS. T for toxicity, D for nutritional deficiency, O for being overweight, and S is for stress. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. What it means is we're all drinking, breathing, and eating chemicals that as it comes in the body, first the body presents them to the liver, but our livers are so overwhelmed right now that Dr. James Lustig at Stanford University, you all can look it up, they estimate 35% of Americans have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease because the liver, in dealing with these chemicals, is enrobing the chemicals in fat cells. You shouldn't have any fat in your liver at all. So now the liver can't handle it anymore, so now the toxins come in, and the last line of defense of the body is to take the chemical and stuff it inside your visceral fat. That's the fat around your organs. And these toxins are called lipophilic, which means they love fat. But look at her waist. Look at day one. There's the expansion. See, when the body stuffs the chemical in the fat cell expands. Don't let anybody tell you you're burning fat. That's just just nonsense. Google it. You're born with a certain number of fat cells, you die with a certain number of fat cells, and the only way to reduce fat is either liposuction or surgery. So don't let anybody tell you you're burning fat on this diet or you're going to the gym and you're going to burn fat. No, you're not. It's silly. The fat cells can shrink, which we actually, that's what they did there. And keep in mind, this is without any exercise at all. Yeah, sounds too good to be true. Let's see, Emily, let me show you what you can do. Now, the first thing, Emily, to notice, you see the website there, the New Health Conversation. We will not contact you if you go there. So don't think you're going there and you're going to get a phone call from us, because we don't do it that way. We let you see, we're different than everybody else. We got our critics. People want to come on here and argue about, is it the #1 magazine in the world, which it is, for women, I'm just saying, okay? Why? That's silly. The most important thing is the results. Look at those results. You think that's fake? You think you get on the cover of Women's World if you don't have medical backup behind it? And so the website, you go there, take a look at the medical proof, and if you like, scroll down and get a free coach. It's free coaching the entire time. You know what the key to this is? It's called R2M, race to maintenance. Like the two women you're looking at there, they lost their weight. They've kept it off now for more than 2 years. That's the main reason to do this, and to detoxify your body. Oh, I didn't even tell you that part. So in the researchers, they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, proving this is helping the body remove herbicides and pesticides, Scotch Guard, and Teflon. The #1 reason to do this is to detox the body. And I know you see this stuff on TV. Oh, there's a detox. They don't have one shred of medical evidence. They didn't do blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis. They're trying to tell you they got a detox, which is nonsense. It's marketing, jibber jab. The reason this is so exciting is you got #1, you can see all the medical studies right there for you, which takes away any of the skepticism, because peer-reviewed human trial study, nothing's higher in medicine than that. No drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study, not a scientific paper, not a clinical trial. It has to be done on human beings and reviewed by the top reviewers in the world who have one job. You know what their job is? To discredit what these researchers are trying to present. You have to go through a maze to even get up to the point where they're going to publish your work, but the journals don't analyze it. Who really analyzes it? These top experts in the world. See, what we have that nobody else has. We have the proof. Nobody else does. So all my critics that want to come on here and argue with me, why? None of it's my research. Why would they want to argue with me? Because they want to be right to the point where when Medicare says Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments, diets are not the answer, the Medicare researchers reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calories in, calories out diets to assess whether these diets are effective treatment for obesity. The studies show that 2/3 of dieters regain more weight than they lost in their diets. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. So the people that are attacking me, what are you attacking? I'm not saying anybody's attacking me right now, but I mean, it's pretty typical that I get people on, you don't know what you're talking about. It's BS. You're a grifter. Really? Somehow I appeared on PBS 20 different times. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. I did over 1,500 live lectures around the world. I was a keynote twice at Autism One in Chicago, one of the biggest autism conferences in the world. I have a little bit of credibility. I understand where you're coming from, even my critics, because you're trying to compare this to what you know. But what you know, my gosh, I've even got, I hope you've all heard of Harvard Medical School. What are they saying about calories in, calories out? Stop counting calories. This is Harvard Medical School. They go on to say, the idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong. Says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to take a different approach by concentrating on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. That's Harvard Medical School telling you whatever diet you're on, stop. Stop counting calories. Everybody has no idea what a calorie is. My good friend got the, yeah, Emily, does that make sense? And Emily, I want you to be as skeptical as possible. That's fine. That's okay. All of you can be, you can get mad at me, you can yell at me, you can do whatever you want to do, but it doesn't change the science. You understand? When you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, it's irrefutable medical proof, period. It's not a scientific paper. It's not like the people that, you know, the researchers who got these foods, they did their own studies. No, that's not how it works. And again, when you're on the cover of the #1 women's magazine in the world, that's a big deal. That's the credibility. I mean, the researchers didn't need that credibility, but it doesn't hurt to be on there. But again, everybody, look at this. You trying to tell me any diet you've ever seen, you can lose 21 pounds in 30 days and 38 inches with no, by the way, I didn't even tell you that. None of these pictures I'm showing, none were allowed to exercise. They actually wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising, and they lost no water weight, and in a month they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise. I know that's spinning some of you out of control. How's that possible? It's possible because of what they did. They didn't rely just on organic food from North America. They only let them have 30% of their food came from North America because our food in North America is all but nutritionally bankrupt. Even, I eat Whole Foods and I go, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. What's going on here, folks? We're getting signals from the, let's see, make sure. No, we're okay. For some reason, I was getting signals that I was losing my signal, And Bubba at Woe Thumbs, that was great. You were very, very close. So hopefully that cleared it up as far as prolonged fasting can help for free. No, actually, user, you're completely wrong. You're 1,000,000% wrong. The evidence is very clear that you go fast more than 22 hours, you're going to burn your muscles for fuel. It's not up for debate, okay? So when you make statements like that, it's fine. That's your opinion. But the medical science doesn't support it. Every diet out there, including normal fasting, 25 to 40% of what you're going to lose is lean muscle mass. So they did a huge study, okay? Let me explain this to you, user 425. Journal of the American Medical Association, right? 12-month study called Comparison of Weight Loss Among Named Diet Programs in Overweight and Obese Individuals. They named all these diets, including fasting, including time-restricted eating, the zone diet, the Cornish diet, the lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, etc. So let me tell you how great long-term fasting is. The average weight loss in a year, the difference between whether it was fasting, paleo, keto, was 10 ounces in a year, and up to 40% of what people, well, they only lost 16 pounds in a year. Let's start with that. And up to 40% of what the people lost on any of these diets, they looked at 7,286 people. So I don't, it's fine. You can be mad. You can have whatever opinion you want. But again, there's no medical basis for what you're claiming. It sounds nice, and I know people do fast for religious purposes. Great, I'm not against that. But from a medical perspective, you're losing lean muscle after about 22 hours on a fast. So that's just the reality of what's going on. Now, I'll give you even more proof. Let's take a look at the shots. Because the shots, here it is right here. So, and I'm not against the shots. People are on the shot because they're diabetic or they're morbidly obese. This is the New England Journal of Medicine. You all can go look up the studies. It's titled once weekly semaglutide in adults with overweight or obese. So what is the shot doing? It's slowing down the food moving through your digestive tract. Code word, you're consuming less food, but what they're not telling you, you're consuming less nutrition. So let's take a look at what happens to people on the shots after 68 weeks. First of all, the weight loss after 68 weeks on the shot was 32 pounds, and right in the study, of the 32 pounds they lost, 40% was lean muscle mass. And that's with people eating. So when you go on a prolonged fast, I mean, you know what your body does when that happens after about 22 hours? Your body's looking for energy. When there's not enough fuel, when there's not enough nutrition, which is what happens, it'll stop accessing your fat cells for energy and convert your muscles into fuel. It's not up for debate. That slows down the metabolism. And it's also impacting your own immune system. I don't make this stuff up. It's not my research. I've written 4 best-selling books with some top medical doctors in the world. I worked with the geneticists who discovered the gene that causes aging. Not my research. Why would I share information with you that's false? For what how would that serve me? What would that do for me? To lie to you? No, it's fine. That's your opinion. Great. Keep your opinion. I'm looking at the science, and the science is saying, I don't care what diet it is, 25 to 40% of what you end up losing on a diet is based on lean muscle mass because you don't have enough nutrition. So you're trying to tell me on a water fast, where are you getting the nutrition? Not from the water. That's okay. Let's move on. Dr. Fung doesn't have one shred of medical evidence, okay? Let's Roxana Rocco Barrows. Unless he has a peer-reviewed human trial study on human beings, which he doesn't have it, okay? I know him. Smart, brilliant guy, but in the medical world, unless you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, it means zero. I know, because for 22 years, is Dr. Fung producing 21 pounds and 38 inches in a month? Is he having someone lose, in this case, 35 pounds in 37 days with a gain in lean muscle mass? Remember what I told you about fasting? Not only didn't she lose lean muscle, she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise. No fast would ever produce anything like that. Don't be silly. How would you do it? If you're in a water fast, there's no nutrition. After about 22 hours, when your body goes through the glycogen stored in your liver, you're out of fuel. Well, the brain's going, I don't want to die. So what does it do? It converts your muscles into fuel. It's all silliness. We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Dr. Fung, Bung, Jong, Dong, whatever the heck it is. Where's their solutions? They don't have any. They don't have any. Yeah, and I get excited for all of you. Somebody has to be your advocate. Somebody has to say, wait a minute. There's a lot of hype out there. Where's the medical proof? I mean, when you got Harvard Medical School saying stop counting calories, when you've got another big study here, the science behind why diets don't work. Our researchers looked at more than 30 long-term studies showing that calories in, calories out on a diet or any diet actually causes weight gain. The more diets someone has tried, the more they weigh. So not only does dieting not work for long-term weight loss, but it's also associated with increased risk of binge eating, eating disorders, and long-term weight gain. You're going on a diet by counting calories or fasting. You're going to gain more weight than you lost in the long run because you're using your muscles for fuel. Do you get that? It's not an opinion on my part. We have study after study. 25 to 40% of what you're losing on any of these diets is lean muscle mass. Here's another one. Well, let me explain to you why calorie counting or fasting, which would reduce calories, that's all it is, right? I mean, you don't understand all of you. When you lower the amount of food with whatever method you want, you're lowering nutrition. That's what the researchers proved. That they were able to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but small quantities of food. That's why it worked. That's how come she shrank. Or, this is the daughter of a friend of mine. You trying to tell me you're going to do that on a fast? 60 pounds in 3 months. Look at her face, her arms, her body, shrinking. It doesn't happen. They end up with all the loose skin because what did you lose on a fast? Lean muscle mass. I mean, it's just that's just the way it is. Because when your body doesn't have enough nutrition, it will burn your muscles. Stop accessing fat altogether. You can believe whatever you want to believe. It's just, I look at the outcomes and I look at, here's Johns Hopkins Medical School. You think fasting's working? You think anything's working? Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. They estimate 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese in 4.5 years. Does that sound to you like fasting, intermittent, time restricted eating, Cornish zone? None of them are working. Around the world, and they have places around the world where people are fasting, doing all this. 1 billion people now are clinically obese. Do you think it's time to maybe at least say, doesn't appear that what we're doing is working. Maybe we need an alternative. Well, this is the alternative. But it's backed by 10, not scientific papers or someone's opinion. These are 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies published in the biggest medical journals in the world. Already analyzed, scrutinized by the top medical doctors and researchers in the world. I'm not making up. None of it's my opinion. People, you can disagree with me. It's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But where are your facts? Where are the facts? And anything short of a peer-reviewed human trial study, it means zero in the medical world. I know for 22 years, we didn't have the studies. We had anecdotal stories. We had, that doesn't count. It's interesting, but it doesn't count. Just that's how it is, right? So, Yaya Jacobson, hello, what's your solution? King of Fame, what's your solution? I'm interested. Okay, I promise I'm going to explain. User, what are you talking about? Stop lying. See, it shows user 422. You're so wrong. I'm only quoting from peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. What are you basing me lying based on what? I'd love you to support that. See, and people just come on and they want to call me names. But the medical proof, it doesn't give a darn about you or what you're saying. It's just silliness what you're saying. Stop lying. When you have peer-reviewed human trial studies in the biggest medical journals in the world, it's irrefutable evidence. What you're talking about is just an opinion, okay? So anyway, let's go back. First of all, I want to show all of you that are interested, the website right there, the New Health Conversation. It's free to go there. You'll see the medical proof. You'll see an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world, who he and his team invented what I'm going to share with you now. It's not a product. There's no products available. They don't sell anything. Their objective for more than 40 years, 100 studies, thousands of people, was could they find the silver bullet for weight loss, obesity, and health? They did it. They proved it. So let's take a look. What did they do? Why is this so unique? It's so unique because it's really pretty simple. They said, as human beings, we have a minimum amount of nutrition that we need on a daily basis to run all our organs, okay? What happens when you go on a diet, you reduce the amount of food you're consuming, you're also reducing the amount of nutrition, okay? That's why, for example, like fasting more than 22 hours, you're out of nutrition, your body, the brain wants to survive, it's going to burn your muscles for fuel. Simple, it's not complicated. So the researchers said, wait a minute, is it possible, could we give people less food by quantity, but find foods that had huge amounts of nutrition? So 30% of what she consumed, only 30% came from the grocery store, proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. And instead of giving her calorie counts, they gave her serving sizes. Very important. And again, look at that, 21 pounds, 38 inches in just 30 days with no exercise allowed, okay? So that was part of the food she consumed, but only 30% from sources in North America. Even organic, even if you do whole food, our food in North America is becoming more and more almost nutritionally bankrupt. The other 70% of the foods came from the far reaches of the world. They came from Russia, from Mongolia, from Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that represented huge amounts of nutrition, but small quantities of food. So now they had what she was going to ingest in a month. 30% from the grocery store, whole foods, organic foods, etc., and 70% from these exotic foods around the world, okay? So 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. 4 meals, starting with the exotic foods around the world for breakfast, lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal after dinner, these exotic foods around the world. That's called protein pacing, which, by the way, is patented by these researchers. And they don't have any products. They don't have a company. They don't sell anything. They're the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world, rated the number ones. So again, when people give me opinions, it's like, nice try. But unless you're the top weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world, it's just an opinion that doesn't hold any water in the medical world, okay? So 5 days a week, 4 meals a day called protein pacing. 2 days a week out of 7, they did something called intermittent, now here's the difference, nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, but these foods from around the world 8 times a day. They lost no water. They lost no lean muscle mass. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise. It's silly to try to compare this to like a water fast or anything. It's not. It's a silly argument. No one's ever seen these kind of results. And these researchers, they did 40 years of research. It's not like 1 year. They did water fast. They did fast time, Cornish zone. I mean, in 40 years, 100 studies, they looked at pretty much every diet out there. And how in the world would anyone want to argue that we're at 80% overweight today, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, and in 4.5 years, John Hopkins says 86% of us are going to be overweight, obese, or pre-diabetic. These are the facts, everybody. Now, if you want, so King of Femi, does that make sense? 959, does that make sense? Yeah, Jacobson, did that make sense? Did I explain it to you? Now, let me show you also, all of you, right above the article. By the way, everybody, this is the number one women's world, is the number one women's magazine in the world. You see what they're saying, over 50 protein miracle. That's what this is. But it's protein is a smaller part of this. It's part of it. And right above the article, you can see in blue, the new health conversation, no spaces. But if you like this content, wow, we're at 50. I didn't even realize we're almost at 6,000 likes. So somebody likes me versus my critics that want to tell me, stop lying. Really? You have no basis to say that, of course. Where's your proof? And anyway, that website is free to go there. We won't contact you. If you like what you see, scroll down. You see it in black. Free coaching. It's free coaching. The whole time. Because you know what the goal of this is? I coached those 2 women, by the way. Let's be honest. I was their coach. And they've kept that off now for more than 2 years. That's why to do this. It's called R2M. I didn't invent that. Race to maintenance. There's only one reason to do this, and that's to show you how to keep it off forever. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. I mean, I understand people get really emotionally charged and they're holding on. It's Dr. So-and-so said this. Great. Does he have a peer-reviewed human trial medical study? I'm willing to be wrong. But if anybody's coming on here making a statement and they don't have peer-reviewed human trial studies, it's just noise. It's just noise. These top researchers, if you go to the website, there's an interview with the number one weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world. He said in the interview, they'll never recommend any form of traditional diet fasting ever again. They said it would be unethical. Now that we know what we know, why would we keep people on diets for 8 weeks where they're going to lose up to 25 to 40% of the lean muscle, slow down their metabolism, and slow down their immune system? Yeah, that's what happens when you lose lean muscle mass. You don't just slow down your metabolism, you slow down your immune system, for crying out loud. That's why, and I can speak with passion about this. My younger brother in 2011 was diagnosed with kidney cancer. My brother was 6'4". And in 8 months from the time when he passed away, he weighed 115 pounds. You talk about fasting. Don't tell me about fasting. Now, granted, he didn't exactly want to be doing what he was doing. With cancer patients, when they lose weight, sadly, it's a great proportion is lean muscle mass, which slows down their immune system. Look, I wrote a book with one of the considered the top oncologists in the world, called Your Third Brain. There's no books for sale on my site, by the way, so don't go down that road and say, well, he's trying to sell us books. The hell I am. But he's considered the number one oncologist in the world and a molecular biologist. He's worked with 2 men who won the Nobel Prize in medicine. And he's the one that told me, he said, Peter, the worst thing that can ever happen to a cancer patient is they lose weight because the majority of what they lose is lean muscle and it slows down their immune system. So when you're going on a diet, you're actually causing what's called catabolic metabolism. What does that mean? It means that your body, when it doesn't have enough nutrition, panics and goes in starvation mode and immediately stops accessing the fuel stored in your fat cells and turns to your muscles for fuel. The evidence is clear. 25 to 40% of what you lose on any of these diets is lean muscle mass. It's slowing down your metabolism, but it's slowing down your immune system. Does this make sense to everybody? I'd love a yes. I'd love a yes. So King of Fam, does that make sense? User 959. Did that explain it to you, what we're talking about? Client more attractive on the left. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Client, whatever. Sign me up. I don't sign you up, number one, Yaya Jacobsons, but I want you all to see the New Health Conversations, where you go. It's a free website. If you like what you see, scroll down and you get a free coach. But you don't have to get a coach to see the medical proof. That's why I'm saying, why are people arguing with me when they haven't even gone and looked at the medical proof? Why? I don't know. Guess they don't like my glasses or me or my tie. That's okay. I'm not the researcher. I'm the researcher of the researchers. We're bringing you this research. Who else is telling you this? Who else is showing you who's showing you one peer-reviewed human trial? One, let alone 10. I mean, if you don't think we're in a disaster, when Johns Hopkins Medical School study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030, 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese. How do we need to go to 100% before you wake up and say, you know what? Paleo, keto, Mediterranean fasting, none of these things work because they don't work long term. I read that other big well, let me talk to you about calories. Here's the medical explanation. The biggest failing of the calories in, calories out formula is it ignores that the body adjusts its control system when calorie intake is reduced. So while calories in, calories out formula can support people achieving weight loss initially, the reduction in energy intake ensures the lost weight will be regained and more. It's not an opinion. I'm not giving you opinions. This is medical proof. Oh, you're lying. I guess the researchers are lying then. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. None of it. Zero. We only deal in medical facts. Here's another big study. Why you shouldn't count calories. Our researchers confirmed while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach, calories in, calories out, has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. They went on to say, counting calories increases chronic psychological stress and cortisol production, 2 factors that are known to cause weight gain. So whatever diet you think you're on, according to this, 2/3 you're going to weigh more than when you started. Why are you doing that? Because that's your only alternative. You didn't know before this pod. See, you can't say after today you don't know. You don't know that there's a new way to do this. Okay. Why weights? What weights? So what do you suggest for weight loss? Okay. So user 959. I'm glad you brought that up. So user 959. 30% of what you're going to consume, you're going to buy from the grocery store. Protein, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. The other 70% that you would buy from these other suppliers, not from us, not from the researchers, directly from the suppliers, they give you a 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. You don't even have to have a reason. If it didn't work, you don't like the taste, it doesn't matter. It's no bull. They 100% money back guarantee on the food you're not buying from the grocery store. Maybe that was a better way for me to say it. I don't know. Maybe you can work out a deal with your grocery store because you're buying a month's worth of food, user 959. Does that make sense? So the 100% money guarantee is from the researchers who supplied these exotic foods from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand to the researchers. They're the ones that you buy directly from them, and they'll give you 100% of your money back if it doesn't work. Try to do that with keto, paleo, water fasting, whatever, time restrict, all this nonsense. They're not going to do that. You're all excited. Be honest with me. If you're on a diet, you're doing really well, you're excited to lose a pound a week. I know all of you tell me that over and over again. So, Maha, what are we talking about? User 959. Does that make sense now, user 959? You're saying yes. You don't have to agree with me. I just want to make sure you understand it. Okay, so Maha, let me explain to you and everybody else. Okay, so let's go take a look at This is not made up, Maja. How about 21 pounds, 38 inches, 30 days, in 30 days? Just give me a comment. What do you think? Well, 959, I want to make sure you're clear. So imagine a month's worth of food. 30%, you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to have a grocery list of what to buy and the serving sizes. You got that part, right? And how much? How much what? I didn't even explain to you what it is yet, Maja. So let me finish. So 30% of what you're going to buy comes from the grocery store. And then user 959, the other 70% of the food you're going to buy in a month comes from these other suppliers. Those suppliers, in the first 30 days, they'll give you all your money back, no questions asked if it doesn't work. So does that make sense now? So Maha, how much? Basically, you're going to spend about what you are now on your total food bill, Maha. 30% you'll buy from the grocery store. You'll have a grocery list. The other 70% from these foods around the world. And most people tell me they're spending about what they're spending now, maybe $50 or $100 more in a month. It's very affordable. But Maha, you wanted me to explain to you what they did. This is not based on calorie counting. This has nothing to do with any diet you've ever been on. It has nothing to do with exercise. Matter of fact, no one in these pictures for all of you was allowed to exercise. They actually were Fitbits. So would we buy through the supplier? No, you buy directly from the suppliers. You buy nothing from us, zero. But the coaches show you, well, they give you the grocery list, boom, go to the grocery store. But then they show you how to order directly from the suppliers who supply these foods around the world. The coaches are there to coach you for free, by the way, free coaching, free coaching, free coaching. So let me come back to Maha here again. I'm not hungry during the day. Well, Reese, again, Reese, look, well, let me ask you a question, Reese. How do you like the result that she created? How about 21 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days? Just put a yes in there if you think that that is something you'd be attracted to, okay? Because you have to understand that I don't want you to get mad at me. I'm just a researcher. I'm just telling you. What you're doing is one of the most harmful things you could ever do to yourself, because the body needs constant fueling. That's called protein pacing, okay? By you having one meal a day, either early, whenever you're having that meal, the huge other parts of your day, you're going to create a deficit in your body. You're going to trigger starvation mode in your brain, and your brain is going to begin to use your muscles for fuel, period. It's not up for debate. That's what's happening. But let me explain to Maha. My doctor says I'm in starvation. Okay, Reese. You see, you're proving my point. So Reese, let me explain the rest of it to you. And I'm also, Maja, or he, whoever it is, they wanted to know what did they do? So you good? Are you good, Reese? So listen to me. The principle of this was completely different than any diet. It had nothing to do, Reese, for example, with counting calories. It only had to do with one fundamental thing, and that fundamental thing is this. The human body has no idea what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories. It doesn't give a darn about a calorie. So let's throw away all the concerns about counting calories. Only thing your body cares about is nutrition. Now, Reese and user 959, we have a minimum amount of nutrition that we need in order to run our organs, our brain, our heart, our kidney, our liver, etc. So for example, we were having a nice little dust up a little while ago, someone arguing with me about fasting, long-term fasting. Well, the problem with that, it takes about 22 hours when your body is out of sugar, stored in the liver. At that point, you only have two things left for fuel. My right hand would be fat, and my left hand is muscle. Sadly, on all these diets, especially in water fasting, once the body's out of that sugar, it ignores the fat and it uses your muscles for fuel, okay? So the researchers wanted to avoid that. So what they did, they put together a food list. I'm speaking to both of you now, right? 30% of what you would do, you'd go to your grocery store, Reese, okay? You're going to buy proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of calorie amounts, Reese, they're going to give you serving sizes. Got it so far? That's 30% of what you would purchase, 30% of what you're going to get from your own grocery store, organic, of course. The other 70% comes from these other suppliers, not the people who created this. They don't have any products. There's no products involved. This is food. So the other 70% of what you would consume or what you would buy comes from these other suppliers who'd gone to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but in small quantities of food. You got it? So 30% from the grocery store, 70% from these exotic foods around the world. Then they invented two completely new ways of consuming food. So Reese, this might make you mad, but this is the reality of what she did. 5 days a week, she literally had 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic foods around the world. That was her breakfast, lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a fourth meal after dinner, these exotic foods. So Reese, sorry to tell you, the ideal situation for health, longevity, and weight loss, you want to be eating 4 times a day if it's nutritionally dense, meaning huge amounts of nutrition, but not huge amounts of food. Does that make sense so far? So 5 days a week, Reese, you'll be having 4 meals a day. And this is what the coaches show you. But it's more than that. The researchers who created this, they created something called, you can see it there, the blueprint for success. It's the actual daily manuals of what people did. The yellows you're seeing there are daily tutorials from videos from the researchers. It includes the food list, free. It gives you, it tells you what to be doing every day. There's no guesswork. And you have a live coach. We coach you for free because you've never done anything like this before, right? So on those days when you're doing intermittent, now remember, 5 days a week, 4 meals a day, protein pacing, Reese, and 959. On the other 2 days a week, you do something called, listen to me carefully, intermittent, don't get tripped up now, intermittent, nutritional fasting, not fasting, not water fasting, okay? On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods from around the world. But this time, Reese is going to make you crazy. I'm not trying to do that. You would have 8 servings a day. You're going to have something about every hour and a half to 2 hours. Reese, look at the results. Look at her waist from day 1 to day 30. That's without sit-ups, that's without anything. That's naturally occurring. Exactly, Reese. Well, thank you for backing me up. Maha, it's she. You're a woman. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know that for sure. But Reese, does this make sense to you? And also to 9-5 Maha, and then there was somebody else too. I think 9-5 Maha. Okay, Reese. Okay, can you see that, Reese? Give me a yes. What is exotic food? I'll talk to you in a moment about that. Just give me a second. Let me finish with Reese first. Well, all of you, you see right above the article, the new health conversation? That's the free website for you to go to, Reese, and see the medical proof, okay? Then, if you like what you see, you can see above it, free coaching. You scroll down, there's a place for you to put your information, and you'll get a free coach. We don't require you to have a coach to go and look at the medical proof. They'll go over exactly, they'll give you I just showed you all, you get this blueprint of success, which has the daily food list, for example. Plus, they'll also show you where you get these, well, you buy directly from the suppliers who've gone to Russia and Mongolia and Tibet and South America to get these exotic foods you can't buy in your grocery store, because some of the ingredients that in particular come from Russia and Mongolia and Tibet and the Himalayas, they don't exist in the soils in North America. So it's not just that this is high amounts of nutrition, it's also nutrition or nutrients that don't even exist in North America. Now, let's take a look at a couple more people here just to show you. This is 35 pounds in 37 days. Look at the change in her body. I know a lot of people think it's a little different woman. It's the same person. So Reese or anybody else, what would you think about that? So I'm sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing your name. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't know exactly how to pronounce your name. So again, the exotic foods, it's not, see, let me explain it to you. This is maybe a better way to explain it. We're not talking about kale and spinach and, whatever. We're talking about, in many cases, what they got were nutrients from the natives in those part of the world where they either prepared food in a liquid, like a tea, for example, or as a soup. So those are the nutrients that you're getting, but they include things, I'll give you one quick example. One of the things we're the most deficient in North America are what are called trace ionic minerals. There are 70 that we need. You've heard of iron, calcium, magnesium, right? But I'm talking about things we need like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and selenium and molybdenum. There's 70 that we need in the best organic you can get from the grocery store, because part of what you're going to get from the grocery store is organic. It only has 20 minerals. Well, one of the food sources that they found has all 70 trace ionic minerals. But there are lots more things, like 21 naturally occurring vitamins in one of the food sources. You're not getting that from food in North America. So when we talk about the exotic foods, it's really more the exotic nutrients, if that can make sense to you. And again, for further clarification, any of you at any time can go to right there above the article, the new health conversation. Now, for some of the new people coming on, if you don't know, Women's World is the #1 women's magazine in the entire world. That's the cover story. Do you think they'd be on the cover if this was some kind of a scam? And there's a 2-page article inside raving about this, raving. And I mean, it's just so exciting. What did I do with it? It's over here somewhere. Oh, I got it right here. Look, so there's a bigger blow up of it. You all can see that, I guess. I coach those 2 women. I know them. So, but imagine the daughter in blue lost 50 pounds in 90 days, in 3 months. The mom, 80 years old, lost 91 pounds in 9 months. They've both kept it off for 2 years. And this is, you can see, over 50 protein miracle. Well, part of it's protein, but there's other things involved. You don't get on the cover. You talk about credibility. We already had this is the only protocol in the world with 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. What are you going on? You're listening to some influencers that's giving you an opinion. No medical facts. 0 medical facts. Oh, let's do time-restricted eating. You're going to lose 20 pounds in a month and most of it's fat. Totally not true. 100% not true. Let me show you, because again, I'm a researcher. I got to have my facts lined up. This is a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association on this time-restricted eating, where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. It's just another scheme for a diet. Listen to what they found. This is a direct quote from the study in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Our new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating their meals between noon and 8 p.m., popularly known as the 16-8 diet, in 3 months gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost an average of 2 to 3.5 pounds. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. This isn't my opinion. But you see, this is what's going on. You're relying on opinions. You're relying on, they're nice people. I don't want to disparage any of them. Even the people in here that want to argue with me. That's fine. But unless you've got peer-reviewed human trial studies, it's kind of a waste of your time. It's a waste of air. When we got people like, Medicare saying that Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments, diets are not the answer. This is Medicare, for crying out loud, saying our Medicare researchers reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calories in, calories out diets to assess whether these diets are effective treatments for obesity. The study showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. What are you all doing? What diet? I'd love for you to put in the chat. Tell me what diets you're on. I mean, if 2/3 of you are going to gain more weight than you lost, I would just ask, as a researcher, do you think that's working? I mean, you went on a diet to gain more weight than you lost? Really? Was that your object when you started? But who's telling you this? Who is telling you what I'm sharing with you? And it's not my research, for crying out loud. And people really get mad at me on here. I get it. I understand. Because I'm shaking up your belief. Oh, it's water fasting. Yeah, for 22 hours. You do it much longer than that. You're creating an unhealthy situation for yourself. And I know people do for religious reasons. That's fine. But understand that a great portion of what you're going to lose is your lean muscle mass. It's just that simple. And you lose lean muscle, it slows down your metabolism, and slows down your immune system. I mean, that's the way it goes, right? So I believe in moderation. So can you maintain the weight loss? Oh, Abir, wonderful comment. Abir, you ready for this? I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. The women that you're looking at right there, Abir, that was 2 years ago. They've kept the weight off for 2 years. With the daughter losing 50 pounds in 3 months, the mom in 9 months lost 91 pounds and has maintained it now for 2 years. So guess what it's called, Abir? It's called, and if I'm mispronouncing your name, please accept my apology. I'm not trying to do that. But it's called R2M, race to maintenance. The only reason to do it, a beer, is not a question, can we get the weight off you? As a matter of fact, a beer, look at this. Look at Curtis. You can see he's an older guy, right? 40 pounds in a month, 52 and a half inches, and look at his lab work. Look at his A1C, 8.4 to 6.4, triglycerides 242 to 124. That's 30 days. This picture's 8 years old. He's kept the weight off now for 8 years. No, it's all about maintenance. A beer, wonderful question. A beer, does this make sense to you? You are pouncing it, right. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Can you explain that to me, what pouncing is? You can definitely exercise if you want. None of these people were allowed to exercise because they wanted to eliminate exercise. Then you would have said, oh, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. The researchers had enough confidence that this would work without any exercise at all. And of course you can exercise. Let me show you an athlete that exercised. Wait till you see what happens when people exercise. Let me find it here. Okay. This is exactly a beer and everybody else. It's 11 days. Look at day 1 in the blue and red shorts. Look at that stomach area. Pretty good. But then when it says day 5, that's 4 days. That's the morning of day 5. Look at the transformation in the abdomen. And then day 12, the morning of day 12, 11 days in, look at that transformation. It's not a diet. It's not. It's the number one feature of this. It's a detox measured by the researchers, blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, proving that this is removing chemicals from the body, and that's why people shrank. That's why he had that amazing. Oh, Reese, I'm so glad you could be here. So for everybody, let me go back to the top. Before you leave, Reese, are you clear? The new health conversation, the new health conversation is where you want to go. Are you totally clear with that, Reese? And Abir, no, it's not pronouncing. Don't apologize. Oh, you mean me? I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. I hope we're friends. Don't get mad at me. I'm not being impolite. It's just you'd have to give me the phonetic understanding. Oh, good, Reese. And you understand, Reese, once you go there, you can scroll down in the free coaching. Just give me a yes that you do understand that. I'm saying it right, Abir? Oh, wonderful. That's great. Listen, my last name is Greenlaw, and trust me, I get all kinds of mispronunciations, so I'm very sensitive to pronouncing someone's name properly. So I'm glad I passed the test, Abir. But Abir, does this make sense to you? What are your thoughts on exercise? It's great. Well, I just showed you the breakdown, right? Yes, laugh out loud. Yes, thank you. So Abir, you're telling me that it makes sense what I'm sharing with you, right? You do understand it now? Okay, Barbara Day, let's talk about it. So Barbara Day, welcome. Thank you for coming on board. Just be a little patient because this is not like a 2-minute explanation. So the mom, listen, here's the point, Barbara. I coached those 2 women. I know them personally. And this was over 2 years ago where the daughter lost 50 pounds in 90 days and the mom lost 91 pounds in 9 months, and obviously you can see they kept it off. So let's go back. They were not part of the medical studies that I've been quoting. The next person I'm going to show you was part of the medical peer-reviewed human trial studies that they did. So she lost, you can see there, 21 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days. So Barbara, what would you think if you could lose? Yes, you get free coaching, Abir. Sorry, Barbara, he's asking me about the coaching, which also, Barbara, just so you know, that's the free website right there, the New Health Conversation. All the medical proof that I'm going to explain to you in not as much details on the website, that's a free, if you go there, you get free coaching the whole time, okay? So let's go back to explain to you how they did this. So the thing that was so amazing, it was invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world, Barbara. They'd done 40 years of study, 100 studies, thousands of people on every diet out there, and came to one conclusion. No diet ever worked long-term for all the people. As a matter of fact, 2/3 of people were gaining more weight than they lost. And the fallacy was that all the diets they'd done, like everybody else, they did paleo and keto and Mediterranean and fasting and time-restricted eating and the zone diet and the Cornish diet, all these diets across a wide spectrum, right? And none of them ever worked long-term. They said, well, what was the problem? Here was the problem, Barbara. This hopefully will make sense to all of you. The body runs not on calories. It has no idea what a calorie even is. It only runs on nutrition. And we have a minimum amount of nutrition that we need in order for the brain to feel comfortable that there's enough fuel to run all the organs, okay? So Barbara, here's what they figured out. A diet is nothing more than reducing the amount of food you're consuming, or like if you're doing something like carnivore, no carbs, but you still need carbs in the body, okay? So when you reduce the quantity of food, the body reacts the brain goes, there's not enough fuel. It goes in starvation mode. It immediately begins to shut down the fuel coming from your fat cells. That stops. And then what it does, the most unhealthy thing, two of the most unhealthy things to you, you begin to lose lean muscle mass, which slows down your metabolism. But that's not the worst part of a diet. The worst part of a diet is when you lose lean muscle mass, not only do you slow down your metabolism, but you also slow down your own immune system. So now these diets that you're all on right now, you're making yourself unhealthy. And that'll probably make a lot of people mad. But again, I want to wake you up. Gosh. So the researchers said we need to do something different. We want to find food groups, which they did, that represent large amounts, Barbara, of nutrition, but not huge amounts of quantity. So you would literally get a grocery, Barbara, you'd literally get a grocery list: proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of giving you calorie counts, the researchers want you to have serving sizes because they were calculating nutrition. But interestingly, only 30% of what you would consume in a month, because there's no product here. This is food, okay? So 30% you get from the grocery store, and you actually get, let me find it here. I had it a minute ago. I'll find it in another, oh, here it is. You're actually going to get, it's called, Barbara, just so you know, and also Abir, this is your guide that the researchers put together for the people in the studies. Those yellows are all daily videos from the researchers explaining to you what you're doing, why you're doing it, most importantly, why it's safe. And they don't sell anything. Now, why was their motivation? They wanted people, after 40 years of research, they're now credited with cracking the code for obesity, but they wanted to ensure that people would be able to access what they did in the medical trials. Does that make sense? So let's come back. Only 30% of what you're going to consume comes from the grocery store, developed by these researchers. The other 70%, Barbara, comes from other researchers. Not the researchers who created this have nothing to sell. We don't sell you anything. But those researchers had gone around the world for more than 20 years to places like Russia and Mongolia and Tibet and South America, New Zealand. And they found food groups that represented huge amounts of nutrition, but smaller quantities of food. Some of the nutrients they brought in this protocol aren't even available in North America. Like things in Russia and Mongolia and Tibet aren't available in the American soil. It's just not there. So now they had the food that she was going to consume. 30% from the grocery store and 70% from these foods around the world. Now here was the other magical part. They created, based on this new food composition, they created two new ways of consuming food. 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. Yeah. Starting with exotic foods, that was her breakfast. No food from the grocery store, Barbara, at all. Zero food. Lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a fourth meal after dinner, these exotic foods from around the world. That's called protein pacing, okay? What you're doing, you're spreading out the nutrition. You're really spreading out the protein and the amino acids. It's a lot more complicated than that. I don't want to get off track too much. So 5 days a week, Barbara, you're going to have 4 meals a day. That's what she did. 2 days a week, you're going to do something that'll sound strange. Intermittent, that doesn't sound strange. Nutritional, that doesn't sound strange until I tell you the third word, fasting. You're fasting nutritionally. Now, how did they pull that off? Here's how. No food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods from around the world, but this time she was eating 8 times a day, Barbara. She was having something every hour and a half to 2 hours. So she was literally fasting with nutrition. See, this whole argument of fasting, the one thing that's sort of crazy about it, every night when you go to sleep, as long as you don't eat too late, once you go to sleep, your body basically slows down your digestion. And when that happens, the body automatically begins to detox. The process is called autophagy. That's when the body gets rid of the dead cells. So what these researchers basically did was created, because like these foods from around the world have huge amounts of nutrition, but very tiny quantities of food. So they didn't trigger digestion. And they did blood, they did stool, they did urine, they did fat analysis, proving this was assisting the body in removing the chemicals that we all know were stored inside our body. Did all of you see 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? They're now finding microplastics in our brain and in our coronary arteries. I don't know if you saw that or not, Barbara. But what else are we storing inside our bodies? Pesticides and herbicides and Scotchgard and Teflon and flame retardants, all of which they have proof in these studies that this was assisting the body. See, the main reason to do this is not to lose weight. You'd think it is. And what I want to show you, day one, that's why see what the body does with these chemicals. It takes the chemical and stuffs it inside the visceral fat, and the fat cell expands. See, don't let anybody tell you, Barbara, that you're burning fat on a diet or you're burning fat by exercising. Complete lie. We're born with a certain number of fat cells, we die with a certain number of fat cells, and we lose them either through liposuction or from surgery. But your fat cells are called lipophilic, which means that these chemicals love fat. And the body, to protect us, stuffs the chemical in the fat cell, and the fat cell expands. Look at her waist area on day one. No exercise. And then look at day 30. And then if I show you this other picture of this other woman, Julie, look at that in 37 days. That's 35 pounds. But my gosh, look at the transformation in her body. I mean, it's crazy. It's like we didn't Photoshop it, okay? And then this is the daughter of a good friend of mine. I know her. By the way, that picture you're looking at 8 years ago, just to let you know, she's kept the weight off now for 8 years. But look at April, everybody. 60 pounds in 3 months. 60. Look at her face. Look at her arms. Look at her body. Have any of you ever seen anything like this before? I need to get on the program, but I'm very tight on money these days. Arizona Mike, okay? The problem is the U.S. is the portions. Yeah, exactly. So Arizona Mike, what I would consider you to do, go to the website, meet with one of the coaches, and they'll go over the whole thing with you as far as basically Arizona Mike, you're probably going to spend what you're spending now on food in a month, but only 30% of what you're going to spend your money on is at the grocery store. The other 70% from these exotic foods. I'm sorry I didn't see all these comments before. Yes. A beer. I eat. See, you're proving my point. You're eating everything and lose weight overseas. It's crazy here. Exactly. Yes, it is the toxic. It's human. Right. And like I said, maybe I showed this to beer and everybody else. This is a new medical syndrome that a beer, you and me, and everybody in here has. It's called TDOS. T for toxicity, D for nutritional deficiency, O for being over, S is for stress. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. I discovered it. It's registered trademark. So what it means is a beer and everybody else, we're storing chemicals in our fat cells. It's not up for debate. I mean, again, when I show you Curtis, this is an older gentleman. Look at his stomach. That's 30 days with no exercise. Oh, 40 pounds, 52 inches. But look at his lab work. Look at his before A1C 8.4 to 6.4, triglycerides 242 to 124. A beer, you're making my point. You're making my point. You go to Europe and you can eat, see, because when you have food with more nutrition, you can actually eat more. Why? Because the body processes it so much more efficiently. Here's an example for all of you that maybe will make sense. Let's say you go to fill up with gas today, assume you have a gas car. Pump number 1 says clearly, big sign, this gallon will take you 20 miles. Pump number 2 says this gallon will take you 100 miles. That's what the researchers did. Barbara, I hope this makes sense to you. That's what they did. It wasn't about the quantity. Because of the same gallon, you go 5 times as far. In your body, the less quantity of food you have, the healthier you are. It's really that simple. I know this seems hard to believe for everybody, but it's real. No, he didn't give up beer at all. Exactly. That's a great comment. So again, I want to review for everybody. You can see it right above the article. And I've got the magazine right here, okay? I'm holding it in my hand. It came out May 30th. You all can get it on the newsstand still. This is the #1 women's magazine in the world. So do you think they'd put something on the cover that's a scam? No, they're women readers who would revolt. I'm sure some men read it as well. But the idea is, with 80% of America overweight today, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, do you think we need a solution? Do you think we need something other than what we're doing currently? So does anybody else have a question for me? Wow, we get 11,000 likes. I didn't even ask for people to tap on the screen. You're all so wonderful and so nice. So again, this is live, everybody. It's not, this is a podcast, a medical podcast. It's not an infomercial. I'm live. I'm willing, you can see me interacting with a beer and Arizona Mike and everybody else here. So Arizona Mike, I didn't want to leave you in the dust. Did you understand why this works, et cetera? Did you understand when I explained that it's not basically you're buying food and eating it in a completely different way? Because I don't know anything about you. Maybe you want to gain weight. Everybody, listen to me. We have kids as young as 2 doing this. We have a lady 91. Well, obviously, you saw in the article in pink, her name is Linda. I coached both her and her daughter. She lost 91 pounds in 9 months and has kept it off for more than 2 years. That's kind of pretty good, isn't it, everybody? I'm being facetious, of course. So Arizona Mike, I need to lose weight. Okay, Arizona Mike, about, yes, oh, absolutely a beer. Absolutely, the coach talks about. So Arizona Mike, about how much do you want to lose? So a beer, the coaches are going to teach you everything. It's free, a beer. Do all of you understand? It says right there, free coaching. Arizona Mike, do you see that? There's no charge for coaching. Because there's, again, then maybe Mike, if it's a financial thing, then maybe you need to go a little bit slower. We'll work on all that. But Mike, understand you're buying food. So it's not like you're buying whatever food you're buying now and then you're buying something else. There's no products here. This is food. That's all it is. It's food. Only 70% of the food you can't buy, it doesn't exist in North America. So, okay, thank you. I'll go check it out. Write a beer. Does the article explain how I'm sorry? I just joined. No, I'll explain it to you. So, Arizona Mike, and I promise 1333. I'm going to explain it to you in just a moment. You deserve to know. So, Mike, are you clear that you go to everybody, including 1333? There's the website right above the article, The New Health Conversation. And then it's free coaching for all of you, including you, Arizona Mike, et cetera. So let me address the 133352, et cetera. So let's shift gears for a moment. So you see the article, that's the cover article in Women's World. It just came out like 4 or 5 days ago. It's the #1 women's magazine in the world, okay? So now let's user 1333. Let's take a look at some of the people. Now, in addition, you need to know user one. Well, I'm going to show something to all of you. And Arizona Mike, et cetera. Now, you're going to think this is Photoshop. I promise 1333, I'm coming back. This is not Photoshop. This gentleman needed to lose about 350 pounds. When I show this to you, you're going to think it's Photoshop. Look at this, everybody. He lost 75.6 pounds, 64.75 inches in 50 days. His blood pressure went from 149/81 to 1/364. Look at how much he still has his stomach, but look at how much his stomach went down, and look at his triglycerides. 278, they dropped to 115 in 30 days. That's unheard of. You think there's any diet like this? Now, let's talk about 1333. What did they do? How are they doing this? It'll sound too simple to you. So you'd get a food, you'd get a food list, 1333, 30% of the food you consume, you'd buy from the grocery store. And that grocery list was developed by the top weight loss, nutrition physiologists in the world. Now, what's interesting about that, you're going to have proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of giving you calorie counts, they want you to have serving sizes. This was invented by the top weight loss researchers in the entire world for 40 years of research. And they don't sell anything. They don't have any products. You're buying food. So 30% of what you would consume comes from the grocery store. But the other 70%, this is why 1333, it's so important. Those researchers had spent 20 years going around the world to Russia, Mongolia, to South America, New Zealand, and Russia to get foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but small quantities of food. So 1333, 30% of what you consume came from the grocery store, the same list that you would get. The other 70% you buy directly from these suppliers. You're not buying anything from us. You're not buying anything from the researchers. You're buying directly from the suppliers, okay? Then, 2 new ways of consuming food. This will blow your mind. 5 days a week, 1333, you're going to have 4 meals a day. You're going to start with these exotic foods from around the world. That's your breakfast. Lunch from the grocery store list that you're going to have. Dinner from that grocery list, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods. Got it? So 5 days a week, 4 times a day. That's called protein pacing. That's what the researchers call it. 2 days a week, you're going to do something that'll spin you out maybe. Intermittent, that's a good word. Intermittent, nutritional, that's a good word, but the last word is going to throw you, fasting. So you're fasting with nutrition. Now, how did they do that? Here's how. No food from the grocery store, only these foods from around the world, but this time you'd be eating 8 times a day. You're going to have something every hour and a half to 2 hours. That's what she did. That's what everybody did. Now listen to the other part of this that's so amazing. When they measured at the end of a month, people's hunger went down 41%. Blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all plummeted in 30 days. But here was the big one, never seen before. They measured inflammation. And inflammation went down 25% in a month. That's never been seen before. Now, the last thing they did was they did blood, stool, urine, fat analysis, proving that this protocol was detoxing the body. Is it expensive? I have a disabled son. Again, there are different versions of it. I would say most people, user 133, feel it's about what they're spending on groceries now. But the cool thing for you and everybody else, go and get a free consultation with the coach, because there's different versions. You can go slower. Listen, we have kids as young as two doing this. We have a lady 91. Obviously, you saw Linda in the magazine. She's 80 years old and lost 91 pounds. We have a man with a heart transplant. We have people with no thyroids. We have people with no gallbladders. We have people with kidney transplants. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or make any medical proclamations at all. So what I would suggest, it's free to go there and talk to a coach. Find out. You may have a number in your head. It may not have any reality. It may be way less than what you think, because they can go slow or they can go fast. That's up to you. That's why you have a coach, for free. But the reason to go to the website is to see the medical proof first. Does it make sense? 1333? Good. And Ab, I know you're going to check it out. Does the explain how does the coach talk about exercise? Yeah. I think I've answered most. Oh, Bubba, two thumbs. Thank you, Bubba. Now you know forever. Like I said, you were so close to that explanation of what a calorie is. But you understand now. So for all of you, what is a calorie? It's not a real thing. It's a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise 1 gram of water 1 degree Celsius. That's it. Why you're counting calories, I have no idea, because the body has no idea what a calorie even is. Why are you counting calories? It makes no sense. So again, no 1333. Thank you. Wow, we have 11,000 likes. That's just fabulous, everybody. Thank you so much. So again, who would like to? So we're at an hour and 26 minutes. I'll go another 5, 10, 15 minutes most. If someone has a question, please put it in the chat. I promise I'll stay and answer it. I'll stay as long as you need me. But if no one has a question, then I would end the podcast here in just a few minutes. Wow, we got more people still tapping. They must like the information. So who else would like to ask me a question? Anybody? Do all of you agree? Well, let me just go through. Some of you can make a comment, okay? What do you think about this, everybody? That's the daughter of a friend of mine. That's 60 pounds in 3 months. Look at her face, look at her arms, look at her waist. That's not photoshopped. And she's kept it off for 8 years. I'm new here. What's this about? Okay, Stushi, user, incredible. Yeah. What it's about is how in the world, well, here's what it's about, okay? Let me show this. This just came out in this magazine, the #1 women's magazine in the world. And you'll see right there, over 50 protein miracle. Well, it's not just for people over 50, and it's not just about protein. This is making every diet obsolete. It's a major, major scientific breakthrough that took 40 years. Arizona, she looks amazing. And Stushi 100. So I'm going to explain to you what they did, okay? So you can see this art. I coached both of these women. I know them. The blonde lady, she lost 50 pounds in 90 days. Her mom, who's 80 years old, lost 91 pounds in 9 months, and they both kept it off for over 2 years. It's not a diet. It works nothing like dieting. So let me show you more. I'll explain to you briefly what did they do. Well, first of all, it was invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. After 40 years, 100 studies, thousands of people, they figured out why diets don't work. And here's why they don't work. Diets are based on counting calories. The problem with that is the human body has no idea what a calorie is. The only thing your body runs on is nutrition. So the body has a minimum amount of nutrition that it needs, even if you're eating healthy, to run all the organs. Does that make sense to you? What happens on a diet, you reduce the quantity of your food, but they never tell you this. You're reducing the amount of nutrition. When the brain senses not enough nutrition to run all the organs, it freaks out, goes in starvation mode, immediately stops you accessing your fat cells for energy and turns to your muscles for fuel, and does two of the most unhealthy things you can imagine. One, it slows down your metabolism. That's why none of these diets work long term. You plateau in the diets and you end up, well, I'm going to show you in a minute here, the research from even Medicare saying that 2/3 of people who go on diets by counting calories gain back more weight than they lost. So the researchers said, in order to make this work, could we find foods with very large quantities of nutrition, but low quantities of food by volume? Make sense? So they put together a grocery list that she got, that you would get, proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of giving you calorie counts, they gave the people serving sizes. Very important. Okay, so 30% of what she consumed and what you consume, you get a grocery list, you take it to the grocery store. The other 70% came from these other suppliers, not the people who created this, because the people that created this, they don't have any products. They're researchers, right? But these other researchers had gone around the world for 20 years to find foods in Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, and New Zealand that represented huge amounts of nutrition, but small amounts of food by quantity. So now they've got the ingredients, right? Now they have to invent how do people consume these foods. So what they did, they created 5 days a week out of 7. She had 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic foods from around the world. That was her breakfast. No food from the grocery store. Lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods from around the world. So 5 days a week, 4 meals a day. That's called protein pacing. It's actually patented by the researchers. The other 2 days during the week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods from around the world. But this time, they let her eat 8 times a day. You heard me. She was eating like every hour and a half to 2 hours. All I can tell you is look at the results. Look at the results. So the point is, Stushi, is that unbelievable? Do you think that's pretty incredible? But let me show you. So I explained to you how it works. Now let me show you 2 more quick pictures here. Here's Julie. Look at her, Stushi. That's 35 pounds in 37 days. Look at the change in her body. Now, I swear to you, it's not Photoshopped. It's not AI. It's absolutely, that's what happened. What would you say about that, Stushi? Is that unbelievable? And then my good friend, he's a realtor. This is his daughter, April. She lost 60 pounds in 3 months. And look at her face, look at her arms, look at her body. And by the way, that's with no exercise. And she's kept that weight off now for 8 years. Look at that transformation. Have you ever seen anything like that? Any of you? Now, the other thing, Stushi, if you're interested, right above the article there, you can see the new health conversation. It's a free medical website. If you go there, we won't contact you. If you go there, there's nothing to buy. The only thing there is the medical proof to back up everything we've been talking about. Yeah, Stushi, she looks really good, right? So that website for you, Stushi, you write it down, the new health conversation. If you go there, we won't contact you, but the medical proof is there. And if you like what you see, you notice right above that it says free coaching. It's free coaching, Stushi, the whole time. No gimmicks, because the whole key to this is maintenance. Like they've kept that weight off now for more than 2 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago, and I've kept it off for 23 years. Does that sound like something that would be interesting to you? But Stushi, you can go to the website's free to go to, and we won't contact you. So we're not tricking you like, oh, you got to get a coach and then we'll show you how it works. No, you look at what's on the website and then you get to choose. You scroll down and get a coach or not, or whatever you want to do. We don't have time to sell people or convince people. Our biggest challenge is, do we have enough coaches to be able to coach you? We don't let anybody do this without a coach. We got coached. No one in the world had ever done anything like this. And these researchers had 40 years of research, 100 studies about every diet out there, figuring out what didn't work and what does work. Yeah, good. So again, Stushi, just give me a yes. You see the website above, the New Health Conversation. If you choose, you go there for free. If you like what you see, you can scroll down and get a free coach. Does that make sense? Stushi, does that make, and if I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but the way you spell it, I would think that's how it's Stushi 100. I'm not sure. Oh, okay, good. So I did pronounce your name right. I hate mispronouncing people's names. It's so rude. So that's why I'm very sensitive to make sure that I'm pronouncing your news correctly. So yes, in pronouncing your name, and B, you understand the New Health Conversation, where you can go to see, oh, Ava Lamar sent me a heart, and you sent me a rose. Oh my gosh, we're at 12,000 likes. What is going on here, everybody? You must like the content. I didn't even ask any of you to tap on the screen. So do all of you agree that this is pretty unbelievable? I like April so much because she lost that weight 8 years ago, and you can see she's a younger woman. You think that changed her life? It looks like a different, please put it in the chat, anybody. Does it look like a different woman? I get accused of that. But there's no reason. We don't need to do that. And why? And Stushi, you didn't even hear the best part. There's 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies backing up everything I'm talking about. And a lot of those studies are on that website. You can see for free, and an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world on the website, a podcast with him saying they'll never recommend to any of their patients ever again any form of traditional diet. He said it would be unhealthy. I mean, look at this. Any of you, put it in the chat. To lose 60 pounds on any diet you've ever heard of, how long would you think it would take someone? I'd love for anybody to put in the chat. It does look like a different woman. Yes, I agree, but I promise I know her. She's my friend's daughter. So Stushi, we don't need to Photoshop it. But doesn't she look incredible? It does look like a different woman. I agree. Stushi, I'm in a violent agreement with you. But that's real, everybody. That's what's possible. If nothing else, at least you're awake now that stop counting calories. It's just total nonsense. It doesn't work long term. And Stushi and everybody else, let me read the medical reason why counting calories doesn't work. This is from the medical world, right? The biggest failing of the calories in, calories out formula is it ignores that the body adjusts its control system when calorie intake is reduced. So while the calories in, calories out formula can support people achieving weight loss initially, the reduction in energy intake ensures the lost weight will be regained and more. You might be mad at me for telling you that, but whatever diet you're on now is some form of counting calories. You're doomed to failure, because the proof is that all these diets, 2/3 of people end up gaining more weight than they lost. There's another, the science behind diets don't work. Let me read from this. In a review of more than 30 long-term studies showing that calories in, calories out, and going on diets actually causes weight gain. Wow. The more diets someone has tried, the more they weigh. So not only does dieting not work for long-term weight loss, but it's also associated with increased risks of binge eating, eating disorders, and long-term weight gain. What are you doing, everybody? Who's being honest with you on social media? Giving you real medical proof, you may not like it, and you may get mad at me, but I'm here to help all of you by making you aware. We don't have time to convince you. We're not going to sell you. If you go to the website, I'm going to show you the website. The probiotics that you mentioned in the previous video recommended while on this. You certainly can have probiotics, but you want, in this Arizona mic, there's prebiotics. Those are way superior to probiotics, okay, just to let you know. Because they make more good gut flora in your gut. So that's part of these exotic foods that have 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. That's really important. It's a great question, though. Does that make sense? Silly, pooky, wookies. Okay, I'm going to explain it to you. First of all, let me go back to the first page, Silly Pookies. This, I coached both of those women. That's the cover of Women's World magazine, just to let you know, this is 100% legitimate. It's 100% safe. And right above there for free is the website, the New Health Conversation. The only thing on there is the medical proof. But I'm going to explain to you how did they achieve this. So the daughter in the blue, she lost 50 pounds in 90 days. The mom, who's 80 years old, lost 91 pounds in 9 months. Now let's go and take a look at some of the other. Okay, so this young woman needed to lose 35 pounds. She lost 21 pounds and 38 inches in 30 days. So what did they do? Well, first, let's talk about why diets are failing us and they don't work. I actually wrote the best-selling book in 2010 called Why Diets Are Failing Us, when I explained that counting calories was completely pointless because the human body has no idea what a calorie is, which it doesn't. So the researchers that created this had done 40 years of 100 different studies, thousands of people who came up with this. And they don't have there's no products to buy here. Okay, so silly pookie, there's no products, this is food. But they figured out the problem with diets was that the body has a minimum amount of nutrition that we all need. And when you go on a diet and lower the quantity of food, you're lowering the amount of nutrition. Does it get that so far? Give me a yes if that makes sense. So what the researchers said, can we find new food groupings that represent huge amounts of nutrition but less quantity of food? So really it was a diet with more nutrition, kind of, sort of. Well, then what they did, they put together a food list that she got and you would get, that you would take to the grocery store: proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits, that would represent only 30% of what you would consume in a month. And it wasn't based on calories, it was based on serving sizes, if that makes sense. So 30% of what you would consume comes from the grocery store. You'd actually get a list. The other 70% come from these other suppliers who'd gone around the world. This is really important, to places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but small amounts of quantity of food. Okay, you got it so far? Then what they did is created 2 new ways of eating. 5 days a week. Imagine a diet where 5 days a week you're having 4 meals a day. You're starting with these exotic foods for breakfast. You're having lunch from the grocery store list. You're having dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods from around the world. So that's called 5 days a week protein pacing. 2 days a week, you're going to do something, it'll sound strange, intermittent, that's not strange, nutritional, that's not strange, but the last word is fasting. You're going to do intermittent nutritional fasting for the first time ever, not fasting, not water fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store at all, only these exotic foods, but this time she and you would eat 8 times a day. What? Yeah. So you're going to be eating about every hour and a half to 2 hours. People don't get hungry on this. As a matter of fact, in the first month, people's hunger went down 41% in 30 days. And their blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down. But the big one was inflammation, which you and me and everybody suffers from. It went down 25% in a month. No diet's ever produced anything even close to that. And the key to this whole thing is maintenance. This picture you're looking at is about 8 years old. She's kept the weight off for 8 years, as the rest of them have. Here's Julie, for example. Maybe I showed that before. But look at that. That's 37 days. 35 pounds in 37 days. Look at that. Look at the body change. Is that crazy? Silly pokey, is that great? And then the daughter of this other friend of mine, he's a realtor. I know her. Let me find it here. What did I do with it? Hold on. April. How about that? 60 pounds in 3 months. Look at her face. Look at her arms. Look at her waist area. There's no diet's ever produced anything like this. If you're on a diet by counting calories, I feel bad for you, because 2/3 of you are going to end up weighing more than you do now. You can't say after today about being exposed to this that you don't know this is an alternative. But it's not just some whimsical thing. There are 10 medical, peer-reviewed human trial studies done on human beings proving it's safe and it works and it's sustainable. I mean, again, I want to go back to where I started. You don't get on the cover of Women's World with something that's not real. Over 50 protein miracle. Well, it's not just based on protein, but that's just what they titled it. That's the magazine saying this. That's not us. I mean, look at that mom and daughter. Between the two of them, 140 pounds, and the mom's 80 years old. You tell me if there's anything like this on planet Earth. So, anyway, to make a long story short, Barbara, how? Okay, let me explain to you, Barbara, real quickly. The concept of this has nothing to do, and was invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. So, Barbara, at any point, just give me some yeses so I make sure you understand. The principle of this was based on 40 years of research, 100 studies of every diet out there, and the conclusion was there was no diet that ever let people lose weight and keep it off long term. The reason for that, diets were based on counting calories. Well, the problem with counting calories is your body has no idea what a calorie is. Only thing your body cares about is nutrition. So the researchers said, okay, here's what we want to do. We want to create new food groups that are totally based on nutrition, not based on calories or serving size or a quantity. So they developed a food list that they gave to her and everybody else. 30% of what she consumed came from the grocery store. She had a list of proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of giving her calorie counts, they gave her serving sizes. Barbara, does that make sense so far? You stop me at any point. I'll take as much time as you need. You deserve to know, because then you can decide if you want to do something different than what you're doing. So the other 70%, Barbara, which was so incredible, the researchers who have no products to sell, they don't have a company, they're scientists. But they found other researchers who had gone around the world for more than 20 years, Barbara, to places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but very small quantities of food. So now they had the ingredients, right? 30% of the food you'd consume from the grocery store, 70% from these exotic foods. I call them exotic foods from around the world. Okay, now they invented how do they consume them. So 5 days a week, they invented something totally new, where she and you and everybody ate 4 times a day, starting with the world's most perfect meal for breakfast, lunch from the grocery store list that you would get, dinner from the grocery store list that you would get, and a fourth meal after dinner, the world's most perfect, these exotic foods. 5 days a week, 4 meals a day, that's called protein pacing. 2 days a week, they also did something really, when you hear it, you're going to think, wait a minute, what? Intermittent nutritional fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods. But listen to this, Barbara. She ate 8 times a day. She was eating every hour and a half for 2 hours. The results are the results. I mean, look at that. She averaged 5 pounds a week for 3 straight months. But when they did the analysis at the end of even the first month, in her case, people's hunger came down 41% in a month. In 2 weeks, people's cravings were pretty much gone. Because see, what your body craves, not calories. Your body craves nutrition. So now, the other key to this is not that she lost all that weight, because that picture is 8 years old. She's kept the weight up for 8 years. The program itself that the researchers called R2M, Race to Maintenance. Yeah, the whole reason to do this is maintenance. Barbara, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. That should impress you, right? And look at the mom and daughter. They've kept it off for 2 years. And the mom's 80. And when she did this 2 years ago, she couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. Now she's playing pickleball 3 times a week, swims 3 times a week, and is walking 4 to 5 miles a day. This is a quality of life system. It's not about the weight loss for us is a joke. Not really a joke, but you know what I'm saying. It's the least important part, because the key here is to teach you how to maintain it. That's why it's called R2M. And also, Barbara, just so you know, the website is free to go to. We will not contact you if you go to that website, because we want you to be comfortable that you can look at the medical proof. We don't have time to convince you. We don't have time to sell you. We're so busy coaching people. We got coached. Everybody gets a coach for free for the whole time, not just to get the weight off you initially. I coached these 2. I was their coach. Pretty proud of that, actually, to think that my 2 people got on the cover of Women's World magazine, the #1 women's magazine in the entire world. That sounds pretty good to me. So, Barbara, price, R2M, race to maintenance. The price, Barbara, most people tell me that they're spending about what they spent totally on groceries like in a month. Because only 30% of what you spent last month at the grocery store, you're going to actually spend at the grocery store. The other 70% for these foods that come from around the world. Does that make sense, Barbara? And that's why, again, get with a coach. Listen, we have people. My grandson started on part of this when he was 14 months old. As soon as his mom stopped breastfeeding, he went on part of this. We have a lady 91 years old. We have a man with a heart transplant. We have people with no thyroids, people with no gallbladders, people with kidney transplants, and we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or making any medical proclamations. All we're relying on, Barbara, is the medical proof in these studies that backs up everything that I'm telling you that we've been talking about. Does that all make sense to you, Barbara? Does it? I hope it does. And again, what I invite all of you to do is go to the website, The New Health Conversation, and look at the medical proof. And look, we're not going to contact you if you go to that website. Don't think we're calling you. We're not doing it. And the key for all of you is if you like what you see, when you get to look at the medical proof, you get a free coach. No kidding. Free coach. No strings, no tricks, no like, oh, the initial consultation, then they charge you $500 to coach you. No charge for coaching at all. Okay, everybody? So, Barbara, does that all make sense to you? You're the last person I've been on now for almost 2 straight hours. It's my voice. I want to thank, my gosh, we're at 13,000 likes. Thank you all so much. I didn't even have to ask you to tap on the screen to like the content. Can you please put up the website? Thank you, user 133. It's user 133. Can you see it there above their name in blue? The New Health Conversation. Let me know if you can see that 133. I'm not sure if I put it, Barbara, let me know. Let me see if you can read this. The New Health Conversation. That's the website. I'm putting it in the chat just in, 1333, got it. But Barbara, can you read that, the New Health Conversation? I'm just curious, because a lot of times people say they can't see it in the chat when I type it in. But 133, you got it. Thank you. Okay, so for all of you, you can see it above the article in blue, the New Health Conversation. So hopefully everybody gets that. It's on my profile, I guess, as well. Okay, great. So anyway, I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. 13,000 likes. That is just so gratifying. Obviously, many of you have already been moved, and I invite you. I invite you to go to the New Health Conversation. It could change the rest of your life. And this is not about losing weight. The number one reason to do this is to detoxify your body. And the number 2 reason is to show you how to maintain whatever you've accomplished for the rest of your life by going on maintenance. Oh, I didn't even tell you what maintenance is. How simple is it? Breakfast, the exotic foods around the world. That's what I do every day. 2 normal meals, and then maybe every 2 or 3 months, do another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast once you get to maintenance. Then most people tell me when they go on maintenance, their total food bill goes down as much as 25% because they've lost all the cravings for Triscuits and cheese and potato chips and all that. Not that you can never have them again, of course not. But it's really too good to believe. Somebody said that earlier on. It really is too good to believe, right? So sign up. Oh, great, Mitzi. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, well, would anybody else like to make a last comment? And by the way, to let you know, on tomorrow, which is Thursday, wow, it's the 5th of June tomorrow, I will be doing probably 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then I try and do these podcasts about every couple hours because there's so many people that want access to this knowledge. It's not my knowledge. I didn't do the research, but I'm the researcher of the researchers. That's our job, to bring you. Our job is to make you aware. Our job is not to convince you. Our job is not to sell you. You want to do your own investigation. Go to that website, The New Health Conversation. You can see it right above the article. It could change your lives. Wait till you see this interview with the #1 nutrition weight loss. Let me tell you how advanced he is. They rate researchers, something called the H-index. It's not based on 0 to 100, but a score of, for example, of 20 is considered fantastic by a researcher. People who won the Nobel Prize, their ratings are typically 30. His rating, 46. Also, his research over 40 years has been cited by other researchers 9,400 times. That's who helped to create this for all of you, for all of us, for mankind. They've been at it for 40 years. They chased this silver bullet for weight loss for 40 years, and now you have it available to you. You can go to that. Wow, we're at 13,000. Even more people tapping on the screen. Listen, if it wasn't for my voice, I would stay longer. But if I'm going to be able to talk tomorrow. So please, Barbara, everybody, just put a yes in the comments, all of you, if you realize the website is free, the new health conversation. And Mitzi and everybody else will typically get back to you. They may still get back to you tonight, but certainly by tomorrow. That you'll get they'll probably text you, they'll call you, they'll email you to set up your free coaching. Okay? So everybody said yes. Great. All right, everybody, I'm going to sign off now. I never know to say good night, good morning, good afternoon, because this goes all over the world. I know, for example, right now in Melbourne in Australia, where we have a lot of our friends that are found out about this and they're doing it. And Missy White, good night. Okay. You must be on the East Coast, or maybe you're in England or in the UK, but we have people all over the world that are following these podcasts now. They're becoming more and more and more popular, which I'm very thrilled about. And you really have all made my day with 13,000 likes. Tell your friends about it. No one has to come to my podcast to go to the website. The website's free. Share it with everybody you care about, the new health conversation, okay? So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody right now and wish you nothing but the best. Bye, everybody.